Shalom. It's your brother Yerah, first and foremost, giving all praise to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rachak Kodash, for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. Shalom to the elect of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that the Lord will have mercy on in these latter days. Shalom to the men of the Lord that are prophesying, preaching, and teaching on the highways and byways in sincerity and in truth. Shalom, shalom. You see the headline here. It says California has a shortage of imprisoned firefighters. That's good. Now, maybe some of the brothers out there knew this, but I wasn't aware that they had prisoners out there working this many, actually fighting fires out there, which is wicked as hell, um, considering how many prisoners that they have locked up there for bullshit charges. You know, we all know Esau Edom has a for-profit prison system, which means he is incentivized to lock you up. And what race of people do you think he's going to concentrate on locking up? It's not going to be his people, you know. It's not going to be so-called white people. All of the laws, all of these war on drugs, these three-strike rules, all of these different bits of legislation was all designed to target Jake, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's what this all was about. And we all know how they make money off of prisoners, which is basically having them do all manner of labor in these prisons, you know, and they basically work for pennies, literally pennies. Some people get paid 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents an hour, you know, and they can only spend that on a limited amount of things, and they're producing things worth several dollars, you know. So you do the math on the profit margins that they're making on it. There's some prisons that make, you know, over $3,000 per prisoner per year, you know, and it's basically slavery all over again. But Esau doesn't like to talk about that in the media. But one of the jobs that they have them do, they actually set them out and they actually go fight these fires. Now, this article is long. I'm scrolling down. You can see how much is in it. We definitely won't read the whole thing, but I'll just get the main points of it. You can see here, California has had 625 wildfires start since last week. So they got Jake out there fighting fires, man, for nothing basically. Because you can guarantee the majority of these firefighters are Jake, because that's who the majority are locked up in prison. You know, especially in California with the heavy amount of gangs that are out there. It says most of which are still burning, prompting more than 100,000 people to evacuate, killing at least 7, engulfing 1.2 million acres in flames. And this is all judgment. And it's going to get much, much worse, believe me. Between Humboldt and Los Angeles counties, state prisoners who serve as volunteer firefighters typically play a small but important role in containing these blazes. Now, it's funny that they're saying volunteer firefighters, because would they be volunteering out there if they weren't in prison? No, they just want to get out of those cells, you know. But the devil will say, "Oh, he volunteered," you know. Let me scroll down to some of these crime statistics here. Let's see. It says the state's rate of imprisonment has grown largely apace since the mid 1970s. That's right around when Jake was starting to come back up. His families were coming together. You know, they were starting to get jobs, open businesses, and then all of a sudden they introduced a bunch of drugs, a bunch of welfare. You know, the feminism movement, trying to drive a wedge between men and women, mainly to impact Jake. It says stricter sentencing laws and a proliferation of tough on crime policies have caused an explosion in the incarcerated population with reverberating effects. In 1976, there were around 20,000 people in California's prison, a rate of fewer than 100 per 100,000 residents. By 2006, the state's peak, the population number had ballooned upwards to 165,000, more than 600 prisoners per 100,000 residents. a rate of increase of close to 900% over 4 decades. So slavery is done away with, right? But they found a way to continue to enslave Jake, and the ones who didn't get enslaved, all those families are ruined. You have what you call the prison pipeline, which kids are raised out of wedlock without a father. They ended up doing the same wicked behavior, and they ended up going back into those prison systems. This place is wicked, and this is why the Lord has to come back and destroy it. It says the result is not merely the subject of unprecedented numbers of people to incarceration. It also entailed a detailed condition in which they were kept, largely due to overcrowding. California is home to 33 prisons, 20 of which were built since 1984. So they've only built 13 prisons since 1984. That's crazy. Consider how many people there are and how many they were locking them up. Getting to capacity in a second. It says when the state's incarceration rate began a steep upward trend that continued in the late 1990s and only begun to level out by the mid-aughts. But even this construction boom could not match the voters and legislators' zeal for locking people up. It's wickedness. In 2006, the state prisons were operating at around 200% design capacity. That's wicked as hell. You got Jake crammed up in there, man. Crammed up, and they're making money because it costs money to build prisons. And they're getting money, free labor off of these inmates. So they just have the capacity ramped up to 200%. It says gymnasiums and hallways. Say with prisoners forced to sleep in gymnasiums and hallways and manage overflow. And how many of those Jakes are in there innocently or in there for some bullshit, trumped up charge, or just some draconian law that they knew Jake would get caught up in? This here is nonsense, man. It says where they say it says as of August 20th, 1,300 prisoners have been deployed to fight the recent blazes, down from 3,500 in 2018 and 4,300 in 2016. That's a lot of inmates out there. This is free labor to fight fires that they could easily prevent. Because the state of California is too lazy to train their own to get a big enough firefighting force, even though they know they got some of the biggest problems with fires, with wildfires. Like this place gotta go, man. Let's get a couple scriptures here. This is Ezekiel 23, because this explains how the Most High feels about how we did and why we're in this situation. It says, "But thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will deliver thee into the hand of them whom thou hatest, into the hand of them from whom thy mind is alienated, and they shall deal with thee hatefully, and shall take away all thy labor." And that's not just slavery, that's even right now it's continuing. "And shall leave thee naked and bare, and the nakedness of thy whoredom shall be discovered, both thy lewdness and thy whoredoms." Because we went off, man. We went off. And Jake is still wilding out, not giving a goddamn about anything. It says, "I will do these things," verse 30, "I will do these things unto thee, because thou hast gone a whoring after the heathen, and because thou art polluted with their idols." Because Jake is caught up in this American dream, this bullshit. Just get money over everything, money over bitches, all these wicked phrases and sayings and philosophies that is birthed out of wickedness, whispered unto them by Esau, Edom, and Jake is just eating it up. It says, "Thou hast walked in the way of thy sister, therefore will I give her cup into thine hand." So this is why You got Jake out there putting out fires for free. Who knows how many Jakes went out there and went missing, you know, got burnt up, never heard from again. And they got thousands of them out there, man. Thousands. You probably got some Edomites out there too, but we know in the prisons that it's mainly Jake out there, you know. And they're probably hoping one of you Jakes tries to make a run for it so they can just shoot you, you know, you know, knowing Esau gives you enough rope to hang yourself. But the Most High said against Esau, Edom too. See, he's using him to do that wickedness, you know, because the scriptures speak about him furthering our affliction. Even though we went off, the Lord said He's but a little bit displeased with us, you know. But the Lord has something coming for them. This is Wisdom of Solomon 5:1. It says, "Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him," because you do have innocent brothers in there as well. It says, "and made no account of his labors," right? Because he's doing a major work, man. 1.2 million acres being burnt up, and you got a bunch of Jakes out there doing it for you for free, basically. Because when they see it, they shall be troubled with fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for. And they repenting and groaning for anguish of the spirit shall say within themselves, This was he whom we had sometimes in derision and a proverb of reproach. That's right. It's going to be a strange salvation when the Lord shows up. When brothers start getting powers, you know. When the chariots start showing up. This is the end of this place, man. And if you can't tell by how many more wildfires are popping out, then you don't know what time we're living in, man. You know, this is just another example of hell, you know, on earth, the kingdom of Satan, basically. You know, so I wanted to share that with you guys. Hopefully, y'all were edified. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Rachakwadash Shalom Wa Abad Ball.